direction! Guys, watch out!
You're watching The Film Fix. I'm Jonathan W. Hickman, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Jeff Marker. And you know what? I'll just not bury the lead. We just saw Super 8, and I'm sure that's what everybody's going to want to see this week. But we saw a number of films that are in release. I saw with my daughter, Judy Moody, and The Not a Bummer Summer. You saw a movie that's in release.
Midnight in Paris, the new Woody Allen movie.
And I saw Beginners, the Mike Mills film, and on our website there will be an interview with Mike Mills that I happened to shoot when he was here in Atlanta. So Jeff, why don't you tell us about Super 8? I know you're dying to tell us about,
Let's start there.
We'll talk about that one first.
Okay, so Super 8 is written and directed by J.J. Abrams, directed by Steven Spielberg, which is an important thing to mention right off the bat, because this bears a lot of the trademarks that you expect from a Steven Spielberg movie. Right down to there are a bunch of lens flares all over the movie, and you can tell that Abrams was really sort of giving a nod to Spielberg with all of that. It has a very Spielberg sort of setup too. You've got a group of kids who have this great chemistry. There's sort of four boys who they're trying to make a movie. You know, they're trying to make a movie that they're shooting on Super 8. Which should tell you right away that this is not set in 2011. This is an early 80s movie, and we get some nostalgia nods with the music and whatnot. A little discussion of a Walkman at a certain point. And so they are out shooting their movie one night, train derails. It's a huge derailment. It's such a spectacular, loud scene, and something strange sort of crawls out from among the train. And so here you go, you've got a group of kids who are thrown into this wild story. There's an alien loose in this small Ohio town. They're trying to figure out what exactly is going on, trying to save their own skins, trying to stay out of trouble with their parents, trying to work through some emotional things with each other and with their parents. And mostly this is sort of the Goonies meets a monster movie. A really entertaining group of kids thrown into a really wild science fiction story.
Now, while watching this movie, I think you got a little nostalgic. This is in Ohio, right?
This is not only in Ohio, it is right in my backyard. It is set in a small town. I'm pretty sure it's a fictional small town, Lillian, because if it existed, I'd know about it. Just a little bit west of Dayton, which is right in my wheelhouse. And so a couple times the character said something and I thought, yeah, that's Ohio.
Yeah, you kept telling me, okay, all right, I've been there. I know where that is, because they look at a map. They look at a map at some point. And,
they even go to Greenville Air Force Base, and I graduated from Greenville High School, the Green Wave. There's no Air Force Base there at all, though. So yes, it's set in that western Ohio, but this is all fictionalized.
You know, for about 45 minutes or an hour, this movie kept me just completely hooked.
Yeah.
The kids in the movie, the performances they give are so good. Elle Fanning she's just terrific in this movie. And the pathos, I said as we were exiting, the pathos was really thick. And it's a setup that is very hard for them to pay off. And they do it by giving us a very set of scary circumstances. This movie isn't for the little ones, I don't think.
No, this is a PG-13 movie, which really, some people would say it should be rated R. There's a lot of sort of playful swearing the same way that I know my friends and I did when we were early teens, and so, you know, sorry mom, but we used to use that language. But they throw out the F word once.
One time they used the one F bomb.
But on top of that, it's really intense. It's really scary. It's a genuinely scary looking alien. This really reminded me of Predator, but maybe even more intense, actually.
Yeah.
And so this is definitely not a kid's
always
movie.
a mystery until one point, and the one point that it becomes less a mystery, it is terribly scary. It's terrifying. And I think for young people, like my 9-year-old will probably not see this movie. Even though he is dying to see it, I don't believe that I'll let him see this.
No,
I think it's too intense.
And you said on the way out that you're not sure who this movie is for, which is a really good question, because on the one hand, this is a group of pre and early teens, which usually that means, well, the audience would be 9 and 10. It should be right, perfect for your son. But it's far too intense for that age group. And so I think this is more a movie for mid to late teenagers than anybody else.
Yeah, and they had the Cloverfield Experiment. I believe that was a J.J. Abrams film. It was directed by someone else. And that movie was very much for late teens and 20-somethings. And it contained the found footage angle, where all of the images were very difficult to stick with because of the lack of image stabilization. This movie is so lovely. It's very well done. You talked about lens flares and all of that. On top of that, the performances that they get out of the actors are so solid and so convincing that that's why this movie is kicked up a notch. You know, there's a movie coming out that we're going to talk about in a few minutes called Beginners. One of the reasons why I suspect, and I haven't checked the rating, that it is rated R is because there's smoking in the film. And you think about why. I mean, they always talk about Neil LaBute, who did In the Company of Men and a number of other films, that he could get an R rating without having a single F-bomb, but because of the maturity and sophistication of his dialogue. This movie, Super 8, is so scary at times, or intense at times. I don't know how scary, it's intense certainly, because you root for these characters. You have come to appreciate them. You don't want any of them hurt. One of the little boys gets hurt. I felt very bad for him. You know, because they're having a bit of a grand adventure, and then he gets hurt. You know, because this is serious stuff that's going on.
Yeah, it really.
That's why I think it's intense for young people.
It's not like Magic Treehouse where you're, you know, yes, it's fun and it's a great adventure, but you're sure everybody's going to be okay. You're really not sure these kids are going to be okay, which that makes it is rather intense, and just purely the violence. There is horror movie violence in this movie too, so you have to be aware of that.
You remember the movie The Truman Show?
Sure, of course.
And the buddy of Truman in The Truman Show plays
Noah Emmerich.
Noah Emmerich.
Yeah.
He plays this this military guy. I assume he's military. We're not quite sure.
He's Air Force.
They're
Air Force.
They're Air Force. Okay. Because I know when he was having conversation, he was referred to as Mr. Nellick as opposed to whatever his rank would be. But the point is, of course, that that he's in the movie and we haven't seen him in a while, and it's great to see him in this role.
I smiled when he showed up.
Yes, I did. It's a nice nice thing to see him working, but he is a very terrifying character in and of himself, because he's mysterious. You don't know what his angle is and that kind of thing. So you know, all of the performances from top to bottom, and there's no stars in this movie. You know, there's the guy from Friday Night Lights.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it, really.
But really, I mean, there's no real stars in this movie. So the real stars are behind the camera. J.J. Abrams, who had a great or has a great TV career, gave us Star Trek, which was just an amazing film. I really like Star Trek. And then, of course, the presence of Steven Spielberg is felt throughout. I mean, there are so. I mean, the whole thing with the Power Guys, you know, is a Close Encounter homage. Close Encounters homage. There's all of these references, and that's going to draw the fans in, I think.
It's shot very much like a Spielberg movie too. You know, and I have to say, I think the stars are inside the camera as well. This was shot in 35 millimeter, not digital, in Panavision cameras and lenses, and
true
film
anamorphic.
Stock.
You know, you can tell the widescreen. It's really nice.
2D. It really looked gorgeous.
Yeah, and so I have to say that I certainly got my fix from this film. Although I want to warn younger viewers, this is very intense. Not because of just the violence or the language, but because the characters are so real. It's very well done. At least for 45 minutes, I was completely and utterly hooked. Then it becomes a monster movie, and it's okay. And you know, that combination certainly gets a fix from me. How about you?
Yeah, I'll give it a fix, and I think you do need to sort of issue that warning that this is maybe not as wide an audience as something like Close Encounters.
No. You know, Close Encounters, and that's the thing. The older science fiction films went up here more. This new kind of science fiction has to have everything, because they can do so much. They have all these lovely toys, so they want to use them. They want to show them off. So, you know, so a couple of fixes for the new Super 8 film. Now, I want to hear about the Woody Allen movie.
I want to talk about
Midnight
in Paris.
Well, tell us about Midnight in Paris. What is Midnight in Paris about?